Welcome everyone to our Mothers Out Front Massachusetts Climate Action Call. My name is Karen Kraut and I am a member of the Brookline chapter. For those of you who are not familiar with our climate action calls, in the next 45 minutes, you will learn about a specific climate issue and we will take focused action together as we get closer to the end. Next slide.
Oops, sorry, it's not advancing.
Okay. This month, we are pleased to welcome Gas Transition Allies, a network of organizations and experts advocating a transition off gas to clean, renewable energy. Since we have many new faces here today, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves in the chat. Please share your name, where you're calling from, and which organization you are with today, if any. Next. Here is a quick preview of the agenda for today's call. We're going to start with a brief overview of today's focus. Then we're going to divide into breakout rooms for about 5 minutes so we can connect with each other. We'll rejoin the main room afterward and dive into our main topic. After that, we're going to take action together. We'll have about 12 minutes for the action, and during this time, we're going to email our legislators. We will then come back together for a few important announcements and next steps, and we will end the meeting promptly at 12:45. And we hope you will stay all the way to the end. Next. Before we get going, I'm going to go over a few norms for the meeting. First, please rename yourself in your little tagline with your name, with your full name, the organization you're with, and the location you're calling from. As you can see with mine, I have Karen Kraut, Brookline Mothers Out Front. Put your questions and comments into the chat. Please make sure you're muted, and in fact, check right now to make sure you're muted. Closed captioning is available, and you should be able to access that tool at the bottom of your screen. Unfortunately, closed captioning does not function in the breakout rooms. So if you need to remain in the main room to access closed captioning, please send a private message in the chat to our tech, Deb Ashman. That would be Deb Ashman. Finally, we are recording this call, so if you do not want to be seen in the recording, simply turn your video off. Next. Today's focus is to learn about bold legislation called the Future of Clean Heat that will require and incentivize the Commonwealth to strategically transition off polluting gas and towards a clean, safe, all-electric future. We will write our legislators, urging them to attend a briefing on this bill in May so that they can learn about it and ultimately support its passage in this legislative session. Next. Now we're going to move into breakout rooms with 2 to 3 people for about 5 minutes just to get to know each other a bit. There's an optional discussion question. What steps, if any, have you taken to begin to electrify your home? Please make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. And when time is almost up, you're going to see a notification indicating that there are 15 seconds left. Please use this time to, okay. And please introduce our speakers for today, who are both active leaders of Gas Transition Allies. Giving the overview of our climate issue is Anita Roy Dobbs, an activist from Watertown. And then we're going to have Carrie Catan will lead us to take action. We do not have time for questions and answers today with the presenters. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat. There are a couple of people designated to try to answer as many of them as possible. But if there are many, many questions and yours does not get answered, please just email your questions to Lee Kettleson. She's going to put her email in the chat now, and she is going to make sure that your questions get answered. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to turn it over to Anita now. Next slide.
Thank you, you 87 participants, for coming to learn about the future of clean heat. I'm Anita, a volunteer with Gas Transition Allies. That's a network of organizations and individuals who share concerns and actions and research and who insist on change. We used to be gas leaks allies, fighting the gas leaks that kill trees. And while we continue to highlight gas leaks, we have moved on to our goal to transition off gas. Mothers Out Front has been a key partner and active participant since the very beginning, as you probably know. Next slide, please. The Future of Clean Heat is a climate bill, one of the biggest, most important pieces of climate legislation in this session. By promoting this bill, we are promoting the system change we need and supporting its champions, Senator Cream and Representatives Owens and Armini. Next, please. The Future of Clean Heat Act sets out a comprehensive strategic course to get off gas by 2050 and onto clean heat. It charts the path for a cost-effective and just transition from the current system, where buildings are heated by combusting fuels that are hazardous to our health, our safety, and the climate, to a system where buildings are heated and cooled with clean energy. Our families deserve homes that are all electric, safe, and affordable for all. Next. Let's review what we know about gas. Gas emissions are disrupting the climate. In Massachusetts, buildings cause 1/3 of our greenhouse gas emissions. Most of that is from burning methane gas, and the rest is from burning fuel oil or propane. Next. Gas causes indoor health hazards. A gas stove releases benzene equivalent to having a smoker in the house. 13% of childhood asthma is due to the use of gas stoves, comparable to secondhand smoke. The American Medical Association recently resolved to inform the public that, quote, cooking with a gas stove increases household air pollution and the risk of childhood asthma, end quote, and to advocate for, quote, the transition from gas stoves to electric stoves in an equitable manner. Next. Gas is burning up ratepayer resources. The gas distribution system is made up of old, leaky pipes going under our streets and into our homes. As thousands of leaks are eliminated, thousands of new leaks are breaking open. So despite the gas companies spending over $500 million a year of our ratepayer funds on pipe repair and replacement, we have almost the same number of leaks. Every gas leak is releasing methane into the atmosphere, where for the first 20 years, it is 86 times more damaging to our climate than carbon dioxide. Next. And let's not forget, gas explodes. Almost 5 years ago in Lawrence, a gas main exploded, killing 1 young man, injuring 25 more, destroying or damaging about 100 homes. Thousands of families had to flee their homes and live in hotels for months. Next. Explosions and near explosions happen frequently. We don't usually hear about them. Earlier this month, an explosion in Newton knocked out power. How many of your neighbors heard about that? Next. The Commonwealth has committed to reducing statewide greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. So how do National Grid, Eversource, Berkshire Gas, and the other gas companies plan to meet our climate goals? The Department of Public Utilities, DPU, asked the gas companies for their plans to meet the mandate. Next. All of the plans they submitted rely on continuing to deliver dangerous gases into our buildings, apparently forever. They propose to reduce the climate impact of methane gas by making it fossil fuel-free methane gas, biomethane, and by blending in hydrogen to burn in our homes. Their plans rely on falsehoods, and like many polluting industries before them, such as tobacco companies, gas companies are mobilizing lobbyists and PR firms to mislead us and our legislators so they can continue business as usual, selling gas. While they include some electrification of homes and other buildings, their plans call for hybrid heating systems, telling the public that electric heat pumps will need backup gas burners, a future with gas, including hydrogen gas. Next. Hydrogen is a dangerous gas that poses safety hazards, including fire and explosion, and it's unhealthy. When burned, it creates nitrogen dioxide, a lung irritant that can also cause asthma. Producing hydrogen uses a lot of energy. Producing the clean, green, non-emitting hydrogen that gas companies want to pipe into our homes would use a lot of renewable energy. That green hydrogen is much more expensive than methane gas, and it diverts renewable energy from the electric grid. That jeopardizes the decarbonization efforts of every sector that depends on a clean grid. Green hydrogen will have important uses in heavy industry, making steel or aluminum or powering massive container ships, but it is not for piping into our homes. Next. Biomethane or biogas, or what industry groups call renewable natural gas, RNG, is methane from organic sources such as animal waste. No matter what it's called or where it's from, methane is a powerful greenhouse gas and harms public health. Biomethane is more expensive than fracked fossil gas, and it's not available in sufficient quantities to heat buildings. Biomethane is best used where it is created on-site for electric generation, industrial processes, and specialized transportation. In this photo, biomethane is being used on-site to provide electricity for the Deer Island Waste Treatment Plant. Next, please. Next, please. Worst of all, gas companies are, no, not that one. Back up, please. One back, please. Thank you. So gas companies are rebuilding their gas infrastructure to create the future they desire with our dollars. They're replacing pipes under our streets with new pipes capable of carrying the blended gases of hydrogen and biomethane. In this map created by HEAT, the red dots are utility reported sites for pipe replacement in the next 5 years. Among the many urgent reasons the legislature should pass the Future of Clean Heat in this legislative session is the hundreds of millions of dollars being spent every year on pipe replacement. Next. It's more profitable for investor-owned gas companies to completely replace gas pipelines than to repair the leaks, though repairing is dramatically cheaper and far less disruptive to municipalities and our traffic. The cost of planned replacements for 2023 alone is more than $800 million. Continuing on that path, our children will be repaying those pipe replacement costs through the end of this century, amounting to more than $40 billion. This is how gas companies are investing ratepayers' money. Next. Instead of investing our money in stranded assets, let's redirect ratepayer revenue toward electrifying buildings. Pipe replacement is squandering our limited money. How many $40 billion do we have? Gas companies are making imprudent investments out of our pockets. The Future of Clean Heat Act redirects ratepayer investment to a livable future. Next. Here's how the bill will achieve our goals. Will it? I hope it will. The Future of Clean Heat requires the gas companies to give specific plans to the Department of Public Utilities to transition the gas distribution system so that by 2050, we no longer burn gas in our homes, offices, and schools. The DPU is required to review the plans and develop incentives for the gas companies to reduce gas infrastructure each year and replace it with what is called non-combusting renewable thermal energy infrastructure. Next. Non-combusting thermal energy is provided by heat pumps. Heat pumps use the temperature of the air or the ground as renewable thermal energy, providing much more efficient heating than burning gas without the emissions, and they provide cooling as well as heating. Next. The most efficient method of building electrification is networked geothermal energy, because ground source heat pumps use significantly less electricity than air source heat pumps. Widespread use of networked geothermal energy with its constant efficiency reduces the impact on the electric grid, especially in periods of peak demand in the winter and summer. Next. At present, gas companies are delivering only gas, and gas can be delivered only by gas companies. Each gas company has a local monopoly. In a future with clean heat, instead of gas companies will deliver non-combusting renewable thermal energy. This provides a new business model for the companies and their workers. Unlike methane gas, non-combusting thermal energy can also be delivered by competing businesses. This competition should motivate gas companies to get serious about getting us off gas. Transitioning the gas companies to non-combusting thermal energy companies in this way opens a path for them and their workers and their customers to transition to clean energy faster and more equitably. Next, please. The bill also changes the standards for addressing what's called leak-prone pipe. Whenever feasible, gas companies must prioritize using advanced leak repair technology to repair gas leaks rather than replace gas pipelines. And whenever feasible, gas companies must include replacing gas infrastructure with utility scale, non-emitting, renewable thermal energy infrastructure. In other words, transition that area to networked geothermal infrastructure or air source heat pumps. This bill enacts our goal: triage and transition, retire the gas distribution system. Next. Without the future of clean heat, there is no tactical strategy for the transition. At present, customers randomly depart from the gas system, leaving the system the same size, with the same operating and maintenance costs, and with the same leaks. Most gas customers can't afford to cover all the expenses of switching off gas, so they have no choice but to keep using gas. But these remaining customers have higher and higher monthly charges as the operating costs are spread among fewer and fewer households, even before assessment of the extra $40 billion for new pipes. So those who can't afford to leave gas can't afford to stay on gas either. Next. In a future with clean heat, when an area is identified for gas pipeline replacement due to leak-prone pipe, gas companies must plan for zonal electrification instead, neighborhood by neighborhood, whenever feasible. A thermal energy company, whether the gas company or a competing company, will make the investment and arrange for a cluster of neighborhoods, a zone, to get the weatherization, electric service upgrades, electric appliances, and non-combusting thermal energy they need, such as air source or ground source heat pumps. The conversion doesn't depend on individual homeowners acting alone, and the leak-prone pipes are retired. Using a shared infrastructure for many buildings creates a broad customer base that will repay the investment costs through monthly utility bills, the same way the gas system is currently paid for. It's a utility scale solution to a utility scale problem. Next, please. The bill also supports equity in the transition. It creates a thermal transition trust fund of about $40 million a year that comes from a small charge on ratepayer bills. It provides an equitable transition for customers who cannot afford to electrify their buildings without assistance. It requires a just transition for our skilled gas workers who might otherwise be displaced. Gas companies must retrain their workers and offer them comparable, family-sustaining jobs in the new clean energy system. Next. The future of clean heat prohibits the distribution of any amount of hydrogen in our pipelines, with a narrow exception for industrial processes that are difficult to decarbonize. And the stringent set of conditions for using any amount of substitute fuel, biomethane, in effect restricts its use. Next. When gas companies submit gas system enhancement plans each year, and when the Department of Public Utilities reviews those plans, this bill requires both of them to report on the impact those plans have on public health, indoor air quality, public safety, and reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Next. The Future of Clean Heat Act charts a path to healthier homes and a more equitable transition for residents and workers. Let's take this path. Next. And now it is time for you to take action to build momentum for the passage of the Future of Clean Heat. I am pleased to introduce Carrie Catan. She is a policy advocate with the Green Energy Consumers Alliance and a leader in Gas Transition Allies, who will describe today's actions.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Anita, so much for that great presentation. Yep, so my name's Carrie Catan. So we've just heard about a massive problem we have. We've heard about a great piece of legislation to fix that issue. Now let's go and do that. So next slide, please. So today's action is in two parts. The first one is we're going to be sending a personalized email to all of our lawmakers. And the next part is we're going to be RSVPing, if you can make it, to a legislative briefing happening on the future of clean heat. So the future of clean heat bill has been filed in both the state Senate and the state House. It's currently assigned to the Joint Committee on Telecommunications, Energy, and Utilities. And it's probably going to be sitting there for several more months at the very least. And right now, what we really need to do is we need to get more co-sponsors for the bill. We currently have 23 as of last count. And the more co-sponsors we can get and the more co-sponsors can hear support from their constituents, the more momentum we can build and the greater our chance of passing this legislation. So our first action today is going to be to write your own state rep and state senator. If they're already a co-sponsor, you're going to thank them and show your support. We want our co-sponsors to know that their lawmakers have their, that their constituents have their back. If they're not co-sponsoring, we would like to ask them to do so. And then the second thing is, if you can make it, we'd love people to RSVP for the legislative briefing on the future of clean heat on May 10th at 10 a.m. in the State House. A legislative briefing is different than a hearing. That's where, you give testimony for a bill. This is going to be having the main, the briefing is apparently on May 10th at 1 p.m. Thank you, I did not know that. So the legislative briefing is different than a hearing. In this, the bill's main sponsors are talking about the bill, and also experts will be talking about the bill and getting other lawmakers and their staffers who come to understand why this really matters. If we can get a lot of lawmakers to attend this and to find out why this bill matters, that's great. If we also pack this room with advocates so that people show up and they see that this bill has serious support by people who are passionate about it, that is absolutely amazing. Momentum and energy count a lot for getting a bill through the finish line. So with that, next slide. So in the chat, someone will be putting in, a link to the toolkit, which is called the bit.ly link up above. This will have everything you'll need to both write your state rep and state senators and to RSVP to the event on May 10th. So in the action toolkit, the first step is to there is a link in the toolkit to go to a state house website to find out who is your state representative and who is your state senator. And that will also give you another link, which will tell you their email for you to contact them. Then you're going to want to open up your own email, your personal email, to send it to them. Next slide. So open your own email, put in the representative's address. Please bccma.action@mothersoutfront. Then one thing you definitely want to do is check the list to see if your rep or senator is already co-sponsoring the bills. In the action toolkit, we have a list of the current co-sponsors. So if they're already co-sponsoring, there is one version of the email to send them in the action toolkit. If they're not already co-sponsoring, then there is a different email in the action toolkit to send them. So please make sure you're sending them the correct email. And then once you've copied in that email, please personalize it. If you've ever met your state rep, please let them know. If you have some personal story why this matters to you, please let them know, or why you care about climate change, or why you care about gas leaks. Anything to show lawmakers that an actual human contacted them and spent a couple of minutes thinking about it, because lawmakers do show more attention to emails where it's clear the constituent actually put in time to writing it, rather than just copy and pasting something without actually reading it. Also, especially change the subject line, because giving them more unique subject lines increases the chance that they are read by actual people. So you're going to do this for your state representative, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do all of these steps for your state senator. Next slide. So also in the action toolkit, the second thing you can do is RSVP for the legislative briefing. Again, if you can come, it is an absolutely fantastic way to spend an hour of your time if you want to make a difference. There will be people to talk to. You'll get to find out more. You may even get to talk to your state representative or senator. And if we can pack this room, that really shows power and that shows commitment, and that matters a lot. So if you can RSVP, please do so. Next slide. Okay. So please get back here. Please, if you can, get these emails done by 12:40, or at least start on them. One thing you can do now is turn down the sound on your computer until 12:40. That way, if anyone has questions, they can just unmute themselves and ask it to us. Me and a few other people will be here to answer any questions you have, either in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask us. Okay, and with that, that gives us 5 minutes to at least get started on these emails. And then to come back here at 12:40 to wrap things up.
Aaron?
I just wanted to note that in the email, the draft email to the people that have sponsored, it starts out saying, thank you for sponsoring this. And then it says, you know, I hope you can come to the briefing. If your legislator is the sponsor of this bill, which is Cream, Armini, or Owens, you do not need to invite them to their own legislative briefing, okay? So just a lot of us, some of us, those are our legislators, the sponsors of this bill, not co-sponsors, but sponsors, and they're the ones having the briefing. So just keep that in mind.
And then I can't see the chat. Where did it come from that the hearing is at 1 and not at 10?
I think that was a misstatement. Carrie, it's at 10.
No, that's coming from Garrett, who works for the senators. So, you know, apparently the briefing is at 1 p.m. on May 10th.
That
Yeah,
is
I think there might have been some
surprise.
confusion with the previous week. We have another briefing on the Municipal Reforestation Act, also with Mothers Out Front, and that one's at 10 a.m. But this one is scheduled at 1 p.m.
So everyone, please change all the documents, all your letters, all your emails to 1 p.m. This is news to us, sorry.
And when we send out the toolkit later, we'll have to have changed that to 1 p.m. And who should I contact about the RSVP on that?
I just changed it in the toolkit.
Oh, great.
Garrett, thank you so much for letting us know.
Yeah.
Happy to. Thanks for all the work you're doing to get people there.
Hey, Toby,
Yes, Lee.
I need to add 2 new sponsors to the action kit also.
Okay.
Well, let me, I don't see you on the direct chat, so I'm going to email you.
I'm on the direct chat, so if you just put it in there, that would be great. Lee, if you don't see me on the
Yeah.
direct chat, you can just send, yeah. You can just send it to everyone, actually. No harm.
I did, but you changed the action. I put it in the chat.
Is there a list of senators that have co-sponsored? Or are we
It's in the
asking?
toolkit.
Is it? I don't see
Yep.
it. I see
Just
Representative-
scroll and it's in the main link that Ann just sent to everybody.
I think it's below the representatives.
I
If you
see,
just scroll down, it
Oh,
says in
it's
step
above
3.
the list
Step
of
3.
the list of senators is above this representatives in the.
Oh,
action.
okay.
It's right above it. There's 3, but I'm just adding a new one, Senator Comerford.
Oh, good.
And
So
today,
those people are co-sponsors rather than sponsors.
Cream is the lead sponsor and the others are co-sponsors.
All right,
The
thank
other
you.
three. But now Senator Comfort, if anybody's here from her district.
If you look at the bill itself, the House bill says that it's been presented by Owens and Armini. And then the co-sponsors are the other, well, Cream is listed among the co-sponsors as well. I don't really understand the distinction between a presenter and a co-sponsor.
There's a big distinction in the lead sponsors actually filed the bill and lead on it, and the co-sponsors are putting their name on in support. I'm trying to get something else done.
So Lee, if it's easier, send me an email. Do whatever's easiest for you.
So far, I haven't been able to get into the toolkit. It's sitting in front of me, the bit.ly link, but
I also cannot get into it.
I also cannot get into it.
Perhaps someone should put that long link again into the chat. That not the bit.ly, but that, yeah, there it is. Just look in the chat now. 2 people did it. 3 people. Everybody's at it. Try that.
Wait a minute, where are the new messages? Okay,
This one here?
which number?
At the new, find the new chats and there's a big long link that 3 people just sent.
Okay.
All right, let's try that.
It's also going to be in the emails that go out. So if you're having some kind of issues getting it off the Zoom, it will definitely be available later on.
Not on this lab. Let me save this. Okay. Stupid thing. Why is this doing this?
Oh, it's well past 1:40. Sorry for answering questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all like, what's going on?
All right. So should I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks everybody for taking action, and apologies for the technical difficulties with the link to the toolkit. If you didn't get a chance to finish your emails, it's not a problem. You can do it after the call or later today when you have time. You will be getting the link to the toolkit in an email later today. I also just want to say how great it is to see, I think we had a high of 97 people on the call, which really makes me feel so hopeful about our future. As you all know well, it's going to take a lot of people to tip the scales in favor of real and bold climate solutions. And every month, Mothers Out Front is building our movement a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and more decision makers are taking notice and responding. That is the power of this movement. Next. As I said, later today, you're going to receive a follow-up email containing not only the toolkit, but also these slides and a recording of this call with Anita and Carrie's excellent presentation. I definitely encourage you to forward that email to your network and your friends and your neighbors and tell them about what you learned today. It's so important we raise people awareness of this bill. There are almost 300 climate bills in the legislature, which is awesome, but this one is really the big, bold solution we need to meet our net zero goals. Next slide. Mothers Out Front, what does that say? Mothers Out Front has a welcome call every month, and the next one is going to be Thursday, May 11th at 1 p.m. So if you've ever asked yourself, what more could you be doing to help stop climate change? This is a great call for you. In this call, we help you identify the best fit for you in this movement, taking into consideration your unique talents, skills, and experiences. So please join us on May 11th and bring a friend. The link to RSVP is in the chat. Next. And finally, we want these climate action calls to be on your calendar every month. The link to these calls is also in the chat. Our next climate action call is Tuesday, May 23rd, and it's going to be from the Healthy Soils Action Group, and you won't want to miss this call. So finally, last slide, many thanks to all of you for joining today, and I hope you finish up your emails and that you attend the briefing. It's going to be a great day, and I hope to see all of you there in your Mothers Out Front shirts. Thank you.